Hi everybody, it's Peter Bird here from Optimal Nutritional Excellence All One. It's really nice to see you. I hope your day's going well. Over the last few weeks, I've been presenting 4 of the cornerstones of unwellness. And as we've talked about, the unwellness cornerstones are the flip side to wellness cornerstones. The typical Western diet, high in animal protein, high in ultra-processed foods, has a suppressing effect on these systems. And these systems within the body that I'm presenting, and I have presented, and I'll be presenting the last one today, and I'll tell you what that is in a minute, are systems that are designed to keep us well. These are all systems that are self-healing systems. And when we eat a diet that is high in ultra-processed foods, which aren't really foods, they're a product, a diet that's also high in animal protein. Now, I don't want to give the impression that animal protein is bad, but we eat way too much of it in the West. So today, I'm going to be talking about microbiome dysbiosis. Now, that's a mouthful, isn't it? No pun intended. Microbiome dysbiosis simply means our gut bacteria, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment, our gut bacteria is out of balance. Now, what's the microbiome? You may have heard of the microbiome. You may not have. It's certainly a word that has been talked about more, this microbiome, this Amazon jungle that we have in our large bowels. So we have around about 6.5 meters of digestive system. Now, our digestive system starts in our mouth, ends up in our bum. And as it travels, we put food in here and it travels through our system into our stomach where it gets mulched up and made smaller. So it's the first sort of processing. And then what happens is that it slowly gets filtered into or fed into the small intestine. And it's about, it depends, but average maybe 2.5 meters long. And that weaves its way through the body, rolled up and fitted snugly in our tummy. And about 80% of the digestion of food happens in that small intestine. So the body absorbs the vitamins, minerals, nutrients, fats, all the trace elements, all the big nutrients, your fat, carbohydrate, all your proteins. It draws most of 80% of that in that process going through the small intestine. And then what happens is what's left over goes into the large intestine starts the preparation process for waste at the very end of that large intestine. Now, the microbiome, they only feed on fiber. Now, there's about 37 to 40 trillion microbiome bacteria. Now, they're not human. They're bacteria. We can take a little sample of someone's feces, or a little tiny forensic sample, way less than enough to put under a microscope, and we can identify millions and millions and millions, trillions of microbiome bacteria in that sample. And what people far cleverer than me have done, these scientists have, and they're starting to do, and they're on that process of doing, is taking the DNA out of each of these individual microbiome bacteria and identifying what they do in our body, what their purpose is. And what we realize is that the microbiome is the Amazon jungle of the body. It's our internal ecosystem. So what happens is this. You've probably all heard of probiotics. What is a probiotic? You can get it in the chiller section of the supermarket, and I take a probiotic and it's good for me. But what does that mean? Well, quite simply, the microbiome bacteria only live on fiber. Now, fiber only comes from the plant kingdom. You don't get fiber from animal protein, full stop. We can't digest fiber. We don't have the enzymes to digest fiber. But our microbiome bacteria, this 37 to 40 trillion microbiome, all these species like the species you have in the Amazon jungle, they all live on fiber. And so if we eat a diversity of plants, so lots and lots of colour, each colour is a different type of chemical, a different type of micronutrient, phytonutrient, different types of trace elements and minerals. They go into the body, they go into the gut. The gut takes this fibre, this diversity of fibre, and each different population of microbiome bacteria live on and thrive on a different type of colour or a different type of fibre. And their role, the bacteria's role, is they take, if you can think of a factory, so you've got workers in the factory, you've got a product coming into, a raw product coming into the factory, and then the factory workers take that product and they create some sort of finished item, and then that goes out of the factory. So the raw product comes in, and that's in your microbiome, that's your fibre. The raw product comes in, and that's called a prebiotic, so pre before, goes into the gut. The gut takes this prebiotic, all this fibre, all this colour, this diversity of plants, and it breaks it down, and then that becomes what's called a probiotic. So the pre is the raw material. The factory workers working away with their fibre, with all their colours, they create a probiotic, and then out the other end of the factory goes what we call postbiotic. And then in the case of the human being, what that postbiotic does, what all that those goods that have been processed by the microbiome do, is they fuel and resource and look after all the systems, all the thousands and thousands and thousands of systems in our body. Right, so 70% of the immunity system is found in the gut. 90% of serotonin, our happy hormone, is found in our gut. About 50% of dopamine. So we've got our immunity system regulates all the processes of wellness and fighting our illness, any illnesses or any infections or anything in our body. So there's these multiple systems regulating our temperature, regulating our hormones, regulating our blood glucose levels, and the list goes on and on and on. So we have our brain. We have a highway, it's called the vagus nerve, but it's just a super highway between the brain and our gut. Our digestive lining has about 500 million neurons in it, in our gut. Now, neurons, they are found in the brain. And now we've observed, and it's been found that we have this 500 million neurons lining our gut. So in other words, we have a second brain. There's this roadway, a superhighway between the brain and the gut, and it communicates every split second of the day. And so we have this constant feedback of what we eat, what the nutrient value is, what the fiber content is, what the fat content is, what the vitamin content is, and we've got this constant message going between the brain and the gut via the superhighway. It's an incredibly balanced and intricate system, which is elegant. When we eat the typical Western diet, low in fiber, high in ultra-processed food, which isn't actually food, it's more additives and stabilizers and emulsifiers and coloring agents and artificial sweeteners, and then we have our the high amounts of animal protein we have. Animal protein don't have any fiber in it. You can see that we become deficient in fiber. We become deficient in diversity of plants. That doesn't feed and encourage the diversity of population of microbiome bacteria. So our immunity system suffers, our mood can suffer, our health can suffer, because we're not producing the fuel from that factory to fire up all our processes. So ideally what you do is you move from the typical Western diet down the end of the spectrum towards the whole food plant-based diet. So your leafy greens, your multiple coloured vegetables and fruits, your nuts and seeds, your legumes, your whole grains, and your beautiful mushrooms. Don't forget your mushrooms. They are incredible foods. So eating more of those foods that are full of fiber, some foods more than others, but your vegetables and your plant kingdom are full of fiber. They only provide exactly the fuel for your microbiome that your microbiome needs, and then you can flourish. So in a nutshell, it's very simple. It's just a simple matter of educating yourself. If you like this video, if you like this vlog, please subscribe and like. You'll see that the subscribe and like button is right here. Tell your friends about it. And I'd love to hear from you. If you have any feedback, please give it to me. I'm really keen and I'm invigorated about this whole area of nutrition and demystifying the whole process. It's not complicated. Take care, everybody. Lovely to see you. Have a great day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.